We've talked the last 2 weeks about how to turn your love on and some ways to effectively love each other. Remember last week we talked about the 5 languages of love. Did anybody figure out perhaps a friend or a spouse or a daughter or something, did anybody actually figure out what your significant other's language of love is? I think it's actually kind of fun sometimes to guess what people's are. Like I said, oh, I bet you're an acts of service, aren't you? I mean, everybody knows I'm an acts of service guy because I'm like OCD, but we did talk about that. Today I want to look at the biggest obstacle, really the biggest obstacle to keeping our love on, and this is one word: fear. Fear. Fear can hinder our ability to go all in with our love and to keep our love strong and vibrant. Now, we all know somebody, right? I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands. We all know of people that have gone through a divorce, lost touch with a family member or a loved one due to a disagreement. I mean, we all have, right? It seems like every family today, if you ask them, there's a little bit of discord in that family somewhere. Like, oh, I haven't talked to that sister, I haven't talked to that brother, I haven't talked to that cousin because they did this to me, so I'm going to do this to them, which is separate. And you know, we all know people like that. So here's the thing: do people just decide one day to stop loving each other? Well, you know what? Sadly enough, the answer is yes. They do, but it's usually not a conscious decision. Most often it is a reaction, usually like a knee-jerk reaction to pain or the fear of pain. Pain is a motivator from the time we enter this earth, right? I mean, in the old days, do they still spank a baby when they don't? Tracy's saying no. That's old school. They don't do in the old days, it's like hold them up by the feet in pain, and then they don't do that anymore? Okay, all right. Well, maybe, but pain's, okay, coming out of the birth canal then, that's got to be painful, right? Pain is part of our life from the moment we are born. And it's a motivator because from the moment, we're always trying to move away from pain, right? Almost always. We're moving away from and avoiding pain. And as humans, then, we develop these 3 classic reactions to pain and the threat of pain, and they all start with an F. Fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. How many of you own a king cobra? Nobody. How many of you ever drank a king cobra? That was old beer. Dean and I, yeah, we're the only ones? Come on, man. We're the only honest ones. King cobra is sort of like a malt liquor, as I recall. But, yeah, anyway, enough of that. Nobody owns a king cobra. Huh. Interesting. Why? Nobody would think about owning a king cobra as a pet because king cobras bring, or a rattlesnake, one thing only, right? Pain. Pain. No one wants a relationship with a venomous reptile. However, our personal relationships are a lot more complicated as the people in our lives can give us both pain and pleasure, pain and love, sometimes in equal measures. There's not a single person in this room or in our life who will not occasionally bring us pain of some sort. Maybe not major, but small. Here's the key then. Here's the key, because we know it's going to happen. It does all the time. How do we react? That's a bad word, but I'm going to use it. React. Respond to pain. Let me ask this. Did Jesus ever, in his 3 years of, and it was intense, right? I mean, that was an intense 3 years of ministry that Jesus did. Doesn't it seem like it was a lot longer than 3 years? 3 years, that's what he did. Did he ever tell anyone, follow me and your life's going to be a cakewalk? Did he? Because I don't remember it if he did. But what did he say? In John 16:33, in this world you will have what? Who said tribulation? They get the gold star. Was it Corey? I think it might have been, but he won't cop to it. Tribulation. In this world you will have tribulation. But, here's the corollary, but take heart, I've overcome the world. But he didn't say that we're not going to have pain. He never said that. As a matter of fact, he warned that we would. Jesus' own ministry was filled with heartache and loss and spiritual tribulation. Heck, his own family tried to throw him off a cliff. I mean, come on. Raise your hand if your family's ever tried to throw you off a cliff. Don't respond. I can see that. For sure. And by the way, you weren't in here when I asked, do you own a king cobra? No, but you own tarantulas. So anyway, there you go. Jesus never told anybody that. Here's like I said, our lives are going to be much more complex than if we tried to own a king cobra, right? Because we have to deal with people. We don't have to own a king cobra, but we have to deal with people. And people will offer us comfort and sometimes pain. Or the threat of pain. The same dad who taught you how to ride a bike is the same dad that could never tell you, I love you, to your face. So the question at stake is this: how do we react, or how do we respond to the pain we experience? If we fall back on the primordial reactions to fear, the ones that are in the, wherever that is, the amygdala, that's a fancy word for that reptilian, that's that response where you punched me, I'm going to punch you back in the face, that reptilian response. If we fall back on that, we will almost always treat the people in our lives like king cobras. Like trying to stay away from them. We're either going to run from them, run like heck, or try to control them. Neither option, though, pursues the goal of connection, which we should be pursuing in our relationships. Connection. Here's the problem. Unfortunately, most or many of us grew up using king cobra tools to deal with the threat of pain. And the tools that we learn to use are control, manipulation, and withholding love. You mess with me, I'm going to pull back my love for you. These tools, though, are the tools of a powerless person. This is what they say in essence. This is what they say. It's my job to control you. And if you won't let me control you, then I will introduce pain to teach you a lesson. Well, pain could be physical, it could be withdrawing your love, the silent treatment, you name it. We learn from an early age, and this is unfortunate, that the false notion that in our relationship only one person can be powerful at a time, and that's just not true. That's just not true. And here's the real problem. We learn to believe the lie, and it is a lie that drives and protects this cycle of fear and control and punishment. And it does nothing but promote disconnection in our relationships. And it's that lie that we should, and we could, and we should control other people. That's what it boils down to. Now, we may have tried new ways to deal with fear and strife in our relationships, right? But the minute we get scared, we fall back on fear, distance, control, and punishment. Moving away rather than moving towards. I mean, there's tons of books on that, right? On ways to deal with that, right? Go in the self-help section at Barnes & Noble. I saw a great cartoon the other day. Somebody walked up to the counter at like a Barnes & Noble or a bookstore, and they said, excuse me, could you point me in the direction of the self-help section? And the guy behind the counter goes, I could, but it'd really be better for you if you found it on your own. Where's my drum when I need it? Oh, it's not on a snare. And then with that joke, I just completely forgot everything I was saying, right? These relationships to fear, though, that we have are, we know, oh yeah, up in our head, we've heard a million times all the self-help books, but here's the problem. These reactions to fear when we're hurt or when we're fearful of being hurt are instinctive. And they're instinctive. So what do we say? Oh, they must be normal, right? That must be how everybody deals with it. Fear-based reactions cause most misunderstandings in our relationships. You hear me? You hear me? Fear-based reactions cause most of the misunderstandings in our relationships. On the other hand, if we want to promote, and not just promote, but cherish relationships, then we must learn to respond rather than react to fear and pain. You see, you can react without thinking. Oh man, Todd punched me in the face, I want to punch him back in the face. Can you see Todd punching me in the face? No, never, not in a million years. Well, no, he went, maybe. You know, so you're telling me there's a chance, right? 1 in a million? So you're telling me there's a chance. I react. If I react, I punch him back. If I respond, I go, why would Todd do that? I thought Todd liked me. We've been friends for a lot of years. You know, you see the difference, right? If we want to preserve and cherish our relationships, we need to train ourselves to respond rather than react. Responding with empathy and compassion and reason and forgiveness gives us a lot of choices that we can do when we're hurt, besides disconnecting from the person. In the face of relational pain, hear this. Powerful people, and when I say powerful, remember now, I'm not talking about like I'm the loudest guy in the room, and I'm talking about Jesus type of power, right? Jesus power. If the powerful people are not slaves to their instincts, but can respond with love in the face of pain and fear. Okay? Respond with love. Okay, to respond in love as opposed to fear, we have to accept this truth. You ready for it? We cannot, big giant font, bold letters, Arial Times Roman, whatever. We cannot control other people. The only person we can control, and Ernie pointed to himself, and it's true, on a good day, by the way, not always, on a good day, the only person we can control is ourselves. It's ourselves. This is the fundamental principle of human freedom, believe it or not. It really is. We know that God designed us to be free, right? We know that. God put 2 trees in the garden, did he not? A lemon tree and an apple tree. You're going, I don't know if it was a lemon tree, Pastor Roy, and I don't either. And it might not even have been an apple tree. I don't know. But there was more than one tree, right? More than one tree. Why? Because Adam and Eve had a choice, did they not? They made the wrong choice, by the way, and we're paying for it ever since. Thanks, Adam and Eve. I'll talk to you when I get up there. You blew it for all of us. But anyway, Adam and Eve have a choice, and we have a choice. We have a choice. God did not want mindless puppets on a marionette string, which, by the way, another rabbit hole. Anybody ever do marionettes? Anybody ever successfully do marionettes without the string getting all? Yeah, me either. So anyway, God doesn't want us like that. God does not. God is not creating distance between himself and a bunch of scary sinners, right? But rather he's constantly working to close the gap. God has often been called the hound of heaven. Why? Because if you got a little puppy, that puppy's going to follow you everywhere. That's what God's doing, following us everywhere. But we have a choice. Like God, we have a choice. We don't have to move away when people hurt us. We can still move toward them. You see, God's love for... Is there anybody in here that... And Doverspike won't even raise his hand for this. Is there anybody in here that doubts that God loves them? Don't do it, John. Don't do it. No. And why? Because his love for us is absolutely fearless. He doesn't have to fear us. Oh, those dirty sinners, I'm going to stay away from them. No, he moves toward us. And he says this, here's the heart of the gospel if you really want to know the truth. I love you no matter what. I'm not afraid of your mistakes, and you shouldn't be either. You shouldn't be either. So I'm going to move towards you, even though you screw up constantly. Now that's freedom, right? Don't you wish you could deal with people like that? We can. In 2 Corinthians 3:17, it says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You see, God is not afraid of us. God is not afraid of our sin or us dirty sinners. But we are. We're afraid of other people's sins, aren't we? If we want to win the battle between fear and love, we need to commit to two fundamental ideas. Are you ready for them? Number one, it's my job to control myself. I don't get to control other people. That's number one. Number two, my number one priority in relationships is going to be connection. It's going to be connection. If we want to cast out all the fear in our relationships, then we need to leave no doubt at all in our loved ones' minds, hearts, and souls that we truly love them. We have to leave no doubt. Communication is paramount, right? In any relationship, communicate, but particularly when we're trying to constantly and consistently choose to love and to connect. To keep our love on, we need healthy communication with those that we care about, constantly providing honest feedback about how another person's behavior is affecting our life. Not judging, not trying to change them, but how they're affecting our life. And trusting them to do what they need to do to keep the relationship moving towards connection also. And letting them know 100% we're going to do the same. I'm always going to choose to keep my love on for you. I'd like you to do the same for me. Our success in this plan, and it is a plan as we move through this series, is to fully determine how powerful we are willing to become. Just how powerful are you willing to become? You see, powerful people keep their love on, no matter what. A powerful person says this, I am going to be okay, no matter what you do. You can hurt me, but you cannot make me turn my love off. I'm relentlessly going to pursue love and connection and nourishment no matter what I have to do. Can you imagine saying that to your spouse or a friend and meaning it and doing it? Oh my goodness. Talk about a revolutionary. There you have it. You can hurt me, but you can't make me turn my love off. I'm constantly and consistently going to be moving towards you in love. And I'm here to tell you, this is the third week of this. I've already practiced this like 3 times, where there's been an instance where I could have turned my love off to Janine, and I didn't. I just went, ugh, I don't like what she just did, but God, I love her, you know? It works. It works. In the old days, it was like, God, I don't like what she just did, and I'm going to give her the silent treatment for 3 days or 4 days. How many of you have ever been angry and it's felt kind of good? I mean, yeah, it does. It feels good to stew in your anger, doesn't it? Sometimes you're just like, I got a reason to be mad. I can put everything else on hold because I'm mad, and I'm just going to stay in it. I have many a time. I've taken beef 2-3 days longer than I should have, just because it felt kind of good to be angry, you know? But we don't have to do that. We do not have to do that. Here's the bottom line. Fear and love are two of the most powerful, I would maybe say the most powerful forces in the world. Fear and love. Fear and love. Lord, help us to always err on the side of love. Jesus, help us to fight the battle against fear, to drive out fear with your perfect love. Lord, help us to be powerful as you are powerful, showing love, mercy, grace, and compassion, and always choosing to keep our love on. Amen.